I read on a social media post last month that the huge sequoia tree out in California with a tunnel in it that people drive through actually fell down after all of those many years. That tree was 2,500 years old, older than Jesus, 300 feet tall. You'd think that they must have incredibly deep root systems in order not to blow over in all those Pacific storms. But in fact, sequoia trees have very shallow root systems and their roots intertwine, which means they can grow only in forests. They support each other. We think about congregations being together and we support one another. Congregations groom pastors. They groom all of the baptized in discipleship, centered in and standing on the gospel of Jesus Christ.
For me, I grew up Methodist, but then, lo and behold, met this Catholic girl. And once I met her, I was like, I want to be what she is.
Brooke started the candidacy process in 2011 as a member of Christ in Charlotte. He started with 4 children under 10 and quickly added a 5th child.
I was wrestling with how to pursue that call while still honoring my family commitments. And then finally she said to me, you know, Ben, who's my son, his friend Kellen's father's a pastor. Maybe you should talk to him. He turned out to be a Lutheran pastor. He invited us to church one Sunday, and when she and I walked into the doors, it was Christ Lutheran. We knew at that point we were at home.
So he approached candidacy through what we call the distributed process, meaning he took classes at Luther Seminary while living in Charlotte and continuing to work.
And that was designed for second career professionals such as myself who could still work and maintain their current residence.
And then in November of 2013, his wife Kristen became very ill with pneumonia and sepsis.
I found her unconscious, and so we rushed her to the hospital. They were able to revive her. At that point, she was in pretty critical condition. So in order to save her life, they had to use lots of different medications which drained from her extremities to protect her vital organs. While that saved her life, it also compromised her limbs. So as a result of that, her hands were amputated, her left leg, and most of her right foot. I was grateful that my wife had survived. At that point, I was convinced that seminary was going to have to take a back seat, and I wasn't even sure if I was going to be able to continue on the journey.
So we began looking for an internship in the Charlotte area. We identified Pastor Jennifer Ginn at Cross and Crown in Charlotte as somebody who would be an excellent supervisor for Brooke. She indicated that she and the congregation would be happy to serve as his internship site, but they couldn't afford to do that.
This internship would not have been possible for us to support without the help from other churches, and we're very grateful for great support from Christ Lutheran, which is the congregation that Brooke and Kristen and their family have been worshiping with. Also from St. Mark's Lutheran here in Charlotte, and also a grant from Augsburg Lutheran in Winston-Salem, a Hein Fund grant. And in fact, we didn't even have to apply this time because a member of our North Carolina Candidacy Committee is a member of that church, and he applied for the grant for us. Then here from our own congregation, many have contributed to help support the internship.
And Luther Seminary agreed to waive some of the fees and expenses for the internship from their end.
And the North Carolina Synod has helped us a great deal too, just with navigating the financial piece and getting it all done.
Brooke's internship has been a wonderful partnership of a wide variety of folks.
It really is many, many churches working together to produce a pastor who won't stay here, but will go somewhere and bless that congregation with the help of so many others within the Synod.
And what I've found is that this journey, although it's been longer than the traditional journey, has in itself been a blessing in disguise. What many people don't realize is how the larger church actually participates in the lives of the congregations and its pastors. All these people invested in me with no expectation of a return other than for me to contribute to the larger church. And I think in turn, that's equipped me to be a better pastor. That, if anything, shows that we are church together. And I'm very grateful for it.
Where are the young people? Youth are not the church of tomorrow, they're the church of today. Well, I understand that culture has changed a lot and young people are so busy, they have so much available to them. But I can tell you one place young people are, at LYO Assembly.
I think it's really important to really involve youth while they are youth, because that sets them up for their whole life of how they're going to be involved with the church. And I would go to LYO events and I would just see the youth leaders up there, and it was just so exciting to watch them be able to interact with each other and with everyone at the events, and I just really wanted to be able to be a part of that.
For me, when I came on as an LYO advisor, they were really just starting this push to make sure that youth were up in front, leading every aspect of this LYO gathering weekend.
In order for them to get a chance to lead, the adults have to step back and say, this is yours. That the voice of the youth has more power when they're speaking to their peers, when they're sharing their stories, and the only way to learn to share your faith is to actually get to practice it.
Compared to when I was in high school, the kids that are in high school now, the kids that I work with on a daily basis, they're so busy. There are so many outside expectations and pressures. LYO gives them an opportunity to step back, to breathe, to recenter themselves.
I was thinking about this the other day actually. I have always felt like whenever I go to LYO or other youth events, I always feel like they're coming at just the right time. My sophomore year, my parents told me and my sisters that they were getting a divorce the week of LYO, and so I really needed that weekend to kind of get away from everything that was going on with my life and really refresh my faith.
So the youth conferences that I have attended has helped me to realize that even though you can feel so small in certain places of the world, you have a big community around you that helps support you as an individual and you as a church and you as a youth.
So at the LYO board retreat, which we have over the summer, it's just a few days where we all get together and just plan the event. One of the first things we do is we just bounce off different topics of what we might want to do, and we decide which one we think will impact the most people. We had a little bit more of a serious theme this year than we have in years past. This year we focused a lot on doubt in our faith and stuff. We had people come up to us and say, thank you for talking about that. It really brought up important points for people.
The church has helped me through very difficult points in my life, and it's always been the good. And getting to spend time outside of the people that I see on a normal daily basis, especially living in a rural part of town. And the people is what I really enjoy, being in fellowship with others. And so it's nice to have conversations that help you feel fulfilled. I feel that youth are currently in the church, or currently the now, and that we're busy and active and ready to learn and work and be the hands and feet.
This is among the poorest and most violent places in this country. We serve in a place that needs an awful lot of help. We do so much with so little.
The church here at St. Mark's is rather small. We have probably a total of 60 members probably on the books. And of that 60, we probably have between 25 and 30 worshiping regularly per Sunday. And most of those people come from a varied walk of life.
Imagine serving the congregation. I can literally invite anyone to worship here. They will not only be treated well, people will welcome them, that someone will even offer to sit next to them and not do so in a contrived way, but an openly friendly and welcoming way. When this disaster hit in early October, my family and I had to leave this area. We went to Wilmington. We didn't have any communication. We had no electricity, no running water. Our cell phones didn't even work. So the first thing and the only thing I had available to me in order to get supplies, information, and help on the ground here was to call the Synod office and begin the process of putting help on the ground in this place. And all of a sudden things started moving. And then lay people started contacting the Synod office. What can we do? The Synod office had been in contact with me, and we began to form a group really within 5 to 6 days of the disaster that began to hold up the church's side, and that is to put help on the ground for people that need help and to be church in Robeson County.
The response of St. Mark's had more to do with its leadership than its location. So here's this wonderful, very welcoming small congregation here in this neighborhood, and with the pastor and the support of the laypersons and the active role of laypersons in these early months of the disaster, this church just came alive.
We began receiving donations of food and water and clothing, and we opened our doors without much of a conscious decision to allow people to come in and to pick what they need. We have probably had more come in than our church could ever raise for the funds or to distribute by itself.
So once that initial urgency ended, we in the faith community decided we need to plant a new seed.
Actually, the pastor at First Presbyterian suggested that we need to get together once a week. I said, well, St. Mark's is a good place. He said, let's do it.
And it has probably gotten some people together who would never think to get together in relief efforts. We have African American churches, Native American churches, even white churches joining together to provide relief to the people who have lost everything in the floods.
And that's just one more way of sharing across the Synod. We seem to be able to capture sort of an energy and a sharing helps us to be one together and move forward together in Christ in community.